are the Asian Americans? Why don't I see y'all advocating for us?
There's something cultural about the violent nature of Asians.
Asian American here. Before I begin, I will leave the link for the GoFundMe for Cyrus in my profile. It's been 3 years, but I have seen people donating in the past couple days, so I'm hoping the money is still going to his family. Before I get into the Rick Chow case, I need to share one quick statistic. And when we talk about violent and homicide crimes in America, a majority, overwhelming majority, some people say it's like 85%, are intraracial. So when the perpetrator and the victims' races are known, they tend to be the same. Violent crimes of incidents by victim and offender race, you'll see that for white people, black people, Hispanic people, the majority are committed by the same race. The only category that differs is the Asian and Native Hawaiian and Pacific Islander category, where perpetrator of violent crimes against Asian people are actually white people. We're going to talk about two cases.
What he's saying is 100% fact, and there's nothing wrong with him saying this. Yeah, that is an FBI stat. That is an FBI statistic that more black people kill black people than any other people kill black people, or more white people kill white people than any other people kill white people. Asian people, Mexican people, same thing. So, and all others too, same thing. So when we look at that statistical data, what it's saying is that there isn't a problem with Asian people killing black people. Now, that one specific Asian man, there's a problem with him. There's a problem with that problem comes with our problem. Well, my problem with immigrants as a whole is they come here with a whole different mindset and culture that they're coming from. Like, probably in China, in the streets, somebody steal from your store, you could bash their fucking head in and leave them in the streets dying, bleeding out. You know what I mean? But that's not how things work here. You know what I mean? So these people come here with a culture that they already have, and they're trying to implement the things that they already believe is right into our system. And you can see it with the voting, like with the Cubans. They come from a conservative country, so they tend to lean towards conservative views, even if it's not what's best for the country as a whole. You know what I mean? But and that's why we see a lot of groups come here and lean to the right side, lean to the white side. And I'm not saying the left side is the black side. I'm just saying that they lean towards more strict rules, more rules they can adhere to, because in their country, there's some people who come here and in their country, gay is like the biggest crime. You'll be killed for being gay. So when they come here and they see that the left side is talking about giving LGBTQ rights, even if they agree with all the rest of the shit the left side is saying, they can't go because that just goes completely against their morals and shit like that. You know what I mean? And that's where we get fucked up here in this country, having all these different immigrants here. So it's not the fact that it's not all Asian people's fault that this one Asian man killed a black boy. It's that Asian man's fault, his family's fault. Fuck his family, fuck his wife, fuck his son, fuck his daughters, fuck his grandma, fuck his mama, fuck his you know what I mean? And we can keep going from there. Fuck them, but it's not fuck the whole Asian race. You know what I mean? Like, it's not they are doing this to us, they are hunting us down. If they was hunting us down, there'll be war. You know what I mean? Ain't no fucking way they finna just be out here hunting us down. Like, no, that Asian man already had a problem. He had a problem with the way the justice system works here, obviously. And he didn't like that I have to make a report and they're not going to do shit if they didn't steal nothing but a water bottle, pretty much. It's just you're losing income. You know what I mean? So, not saying that Cyrus stole. He never stole anything from there, is what I heard. So, it's just dumb all the way. It's for me, it's not an argument between black and white. I mean, Asian and black. It's an argument more between culture and customs. Like, you're having this argument. Yeah, we should. There's no. I'm not saying all Asians hate black people. You know what I mean? I don't think anybody should be saying that because his 14-year-old boy was gunned down by an Asian man. You know what I mean? Because if that's the case, then anytime any person of another race kills somebody, we should say it's attributed to the hate of the race. You know what I mean? And as black people, we sit around and we hate to hear motherfuckers lump us all in one group together. Like, oh yeah, all the black people act like this. All the black people act hood. All the black people talk ignorant. All the black people do this. Like, no, we're not a monolith. We all do different things. We act different ways. We live in different places. We have different cultures. Well, subcultures of a higher main culture, but we have our own subcultures. We do our own things. We eat different foods. Like, it's just different. You know what I mean? And I hate when I see black people doing that to other groups of people. And that shit needs to stop. It's kind of annoying because it's like, we don't like when motherfuckers generalize us, and so we shouldn't be generalizing people. You know what I mean? If you're saying in general it's just racist, Asian community is just racist, all the interactions I've had, okay, cool. I can probably agree with you there, or I'd be like, yeah, that's fine. But saying that all Asian people are racist is where we get it kind of or going after the whole Asian community. But if our people want to boycott, I'm all for it. You know what I mean? Boycott these motherfuckers because fuck them. Like anybody here that ain't trying to get on the right side of history, fuck you. You gotta go. We ain't fucking with you no more because it's time to take back our country. It's time to take back our what we got going on, and it's not just time to be online talking about it. We're actually implementing things. I got some things in the work that I'm working on to I'm gonna unveil soon. We're just gonna grow the channel a little more. Then I'm gonna start unveiling things. Hopefully you guys like them, and we can go from there. But I got videos that I'm doing about taking back the music industry. That's already done. It's like down on my channel, but it's about taking back the music industry and how we can do it. A blueprint to taking back our power in this country through music. And then I'm planning on making more blueprints about all this shit. You know what I mean? Us being able to financially build a financial economic system for ourselves and not have to live off their system. You know what I mean? Not have to adhere to their system anymore. That is the goal. So with that being the goal, that's why I make these videos, because y'all love the bullshit to get you entertained, like the they're racist or this racist white Mexican person. Da, 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 da. But hopefully through this we can build a community and come together in the future and make things better for all of us. You know what I mean? But I'm not going to interrupt no more throughout this video. I know this was a long break, and if you made it through this and you actually watched it, I truly appreciate you. Love you for hearing out my opinion. If you didn't, then you're already watching the video, but I'm gonna let it play out for the rest of this. I'll come back at the end with my thoughts.
Look, I know sometimes I feel like God don't be around, but don't let that get you down. It get better when you smile. I know sometimes it get easier to frown, but don't let the struggle get you down. It get better when you smile.
That was legitness.
All black men.
About two cases, Rick Chow and also Grandpa Vicha. The similarities are that they both happened years ago. Grandpa Vicha happened back in 2021. Rick Chow's case happened in 2023, but just now were the verdicts released this year and or the court proceedings happening. And the difference is that in one, Grandpa Vicha was the victim was Asian, the perpetrator was black, and in the other, Rick Chow is the perpetrator and the victim is black. This is not Rick Chow's first incident where he shot some of his patrons. He shot at a moving car and he also shot someone in the leg over alleged stealing. And in this case, there was no water bottles that were stolen. Cypress didn't steal anything. Everyone who looks at this case should say, well, there's no reason why you should be shooting a child in the back when they are running away from you. And that's it. You know, that's my stance. The reason why I'm going to say it is that I hope Cypress and his family gets justice is because the justice system doesn't always deliver. And we're going to go to the next case, which the verdict came out earlier this year of Grandpa Vicha. Vicha was pushed by Anton Watson to the ground. He hit his head and he died. Antoine Watson was found guilty of involuntary manslaughter, guilty of assault, but not guilty of first and second degree murder or elder abuse. His family believes that justice was not served. In both situations involving a black and an Asian person, neither parties were charged with a hate crime. You might be wondering, well, what is the point? The point is, and I'm just going to read something really quickly, how media coverage can distort perceived prevalence of interracial violence. High-profile incidences, particularly those framed as racially motivated, can create the impression that interracial attacks are common despite statistical rarity. This divergence between anecdote and aggregated data demonstrates how selective amplification can shape public fear and policy debate, meaning factual conversations require returning to comprehensive victimization and arrest datasets rather than isolated cases. If you want to look up cases where a black person kills an Asian person, you can find many of them. If you want to look up a case of an Asian person killing a black person, you can also find many of them. Do they represent what the bigger picture is? No. People then go on to make broad statements of the entire race. You know, we see that happen all the time. We see statements where people say, well, black people are inherently violent. And now we see people saying, well, Asian people are inherently violent, even though statistics do not prove either statement, because the biggest perpetrator of violence in America are white men. When you make broad statements to frame an entire race as inherently violent or culturally violent, you're just engaging in white supremacist essentialist takes that say, well, you guys are born this way. This is your culture. You're just violent. To end the video on a positive note, I wanted to read from the GoFundMe from 3 years ago by a Taiwanese Chinese American woman. She wrote, "My heart and thoughts are with your family. I want to encourage all Asians to help to support Black Lives Matter and to send messages of support. This is not a difficult decision. I refuse to protect a child murderer just because he is the same race as me. Rick Chow is a criminal that needs to go to jail immediately. He needs to apologize. If Rick Chow felt afraid or uncomfortable, he should have moved his business elsewhere long ago. I would like all Asian businesses that don't respect Black lives to move away and work somewhere else. How Asians respond to this reflects on us as a group. I hope this contribution goes directly to Cyrus's family. I am so sorry for your loss. And that is a sentiment I carry. Asian and Black communities do have historic tension, but we also do have historic alliance.
Last Sunday, an Asian American convenience store owner in Columbia, South Carolina, Rick Chow, shot and killed 14-year-old Cyrus Carmack Belton in the back after wrongly accusing him of stealing water. And because this bears so much resemblance to the murder of Latasha Harlins from 32 years ago, it's hard to resist the feeling that we've made no progress. I know that we have made progress. I see work being done. I see exchange being had. I see coalition being built. But it is so hard to grieve and process the unjustifiable loss of a child. And it is the criminalization of Black people and the harm that that does to children in particular that motivates so much of my work. I became activated in earnest in 2012 with the death of Trayvon Martin. At that time, I was teaching a class in Hunts Point, and the theater that my class was held in doesn't get very warm in the colder months. So that day in November, I went, and the boys in my class, who are about 10 to 13 years old, were all shivering in their t-shirts. And I asked them, where are your jackets and where are your hoodies? And one of the students said to me, my mom won't let me wear a hoodie anymore because she's afraid that I could get shot. And then 2 years later with Michael Brown, those little boys are now becoming teenagers, and just watching them question their mortality from the lens of being Black and being aware that from a young age they have been viewed as potentially dangerous and criminal, and they are not seen as the individuals and the human beings that they are. And so I wanted to know, how can I help? I've known that when I was growing up, my dad referred to us as privileged minorities, and I wanted to know, how do I use my privilege to help others? I think that's where a lot of people start. And that's when I learned about the model minority myth. And when I first read about the model minority myth, it made sense to me. It clicked for me. I did not have a difficult time accepting it because I understood that it didn't diminish the struggles that my parents experienced throughout their lifetime and their hard work, and how they raised me and my hard work and my family's accomplishments. But it made me realize how Asian Americans are weaponized in the United States to oppress Black people. And that made me realize that I am not somebody who is helping people who need my help. The work that needs to be done is on myself and in my community. And Asian Americans, we still have a lot of work to do.
Rick Chow killed Cyrus Carmack Belton in cold blood. This is such a clear-cut case of murder. This boy was 14. He goes into a store. There's video camera footage of him putting down the backpack, like, because the cashier told him, like, hey, they're shoplifting, don't, he complies. He goes, gets a water bottle, changes his mind, maybe I don't want to shop here, puts the water bottles back, leaves the store. They chase after him. And I keep hearing this thing where it's like, oh, well, he had a gun. Brother, you live in the United States of America. Everybody has a gun. If you want to have a Second Amendment, that means you cannot kill person on sight for the mere possession of a gun. It doesn't matter if, he didn't have a permit. It doesn't matter if it wasn't his. It doesn't matter where he got the gun. The sole fact of possession of a gun does not justify self-defense. It doesn't justify shooting first, killing. This boy was running away. He was shot in the back. He did not point it. There was all the eyewitnesses outside of the Chow family, all the other witnesses did not see a gun. Nobody saw it. He didn't point it at them. He didn't try to rob anyone. He didn't, there's no evidence of that. The fact that he got off, this is ridiculous. This is fucking insane.
Cyrus Carmack Belton, a 14-year-old, was shot to death by South Carolina gas station owner Rick Chow. Asian Americans have a problem. Now, this is a topic that I'm personally a bit uncomfortable even talking about because it is a really complicated subject that deserves to be discussed with all of the nuance that comes with it, and a lot of people just are not willing to do that. Now, this case really reminds me of the 1991 killing of Latasha Harlins by Korean grocery owner Soon Ja-do, who ended up not going to jail. She just had to do probation and pay a fine. Now, the easy way out would be to say, what does race got to do with this? Sure, the gas station owner might have been Asian and the victim might have been black, but it was an issue between store owner and store customer or perceived theft. And I think a lot of my fellow Asian Americans view this issue as something more to do between merchants and their customers or community around them. But there is definitely a racialized element at play here that a lot of people simply just don't know enough history to recognize. The reason why there are so many Asian businesses in predominantly black neighborhoods, think your convenience stores, think grocery stores, beauty stores, nail shops, hair stores, a lot of these are operating by Asian immigrants. The Asian immigrants of the 1970s and 80s are different than the ones today. A lot of them came over because of immigration laws. They had limitations on how they could use their education or their skills and background in America. So many of them ended up becoming small business owners due to these discriminations. And because of redlining and other structural disadvantages that many Black Americans face, these predominantly Black neighborhoods, oftentimes in highly urban areas, were cheaper to buy a property to start a business for these new immigrants. Similarly, Rick Chow, who I believe is Chinese descent from his last name, he was found not guilty for the shooting of Cyrus Cormac Belton. They argued that because Cormac Belton was armed, even though he didn't bring up his arms, he was running away, he was shot in the back, they found him, Rick Chow, not guilty of murder. A lot of these Asian immigrants who come in to open up shop, they are not aware of the nuances of racial tensions in America. They might, like, broadly people know, okay, America has issues between white people and Black people, and slavery happened, but that's pretty much it. They don't really necessarily understand some different cultural things, like Asians tend to follow people around in their stores to kind of look at what they're touching, look at what they're interested in. They don't understand that has a very racialized angle in America. They don't necessarily realize or recognize that the people who they perceive as potential thieves tends to have a very racialized stereotype behind it. They'll disproportionately target Black people over other people in their stores. You just look at all of these issues coming out of H-Marts and NYC, where security guards will often accuse Black teenagers of shoplifting, but even if they're with their white or Asian friends, they don't get targeted the same as the Black person. Asians, like any group in America, have this anti-Black issue. A lot of it comes from these different stereotypes that get exported back to Asia with the US military, with popular media, just the normalization of racist ideas in America is so strong and so prevalent that of course it impacts people who are even just immigrants who just came here. They have an idea of these racial hierarchies in America. And a lot of times one of the issues with these Asian stores, small owners, and the local community is that they don't hire Black people. A lot of times they will only hire Asians or their own family. And some of this can be cutting cost measures. I know there are some Asians who will hire people who are not documented immigrants because they know they can exploit their labor, which is not the same for an American-born Black person. And I'm not discrediting the fact that there are aggressive people in poor urban areas. Because of poverty, people are going to turn to crime. And I'm not going to discredit that there's a strong undercurrent of xenophobia in America that also impacts Black Americans who will go forward and put these racist stereotypes and caricatures of Asians onto their local business owners. But that doesn't justify us Asians hitting back with violence, because we won't face the same consequences. In this kind of white supremacist dynamic of the court system, if an Asian commits a crime against a white person, we will be held accountable as a person of color. But if an Asian commits a crime against a Black person or another darker skinned person of color, we will be treated as the better minority. I think my screen is inverted, but one of the things that I read a while ago that really informed me was Kyung Park's Use and Abuse of Race and Culture, Black Korean Tension in America. And this is written in 1996, so very much informed by the recent LA riots and the different ways that the white media painted the conflict not as this sort of Black response to white brutality in police, but rather as this Korean Black conflict, and really sensationalized it. I think Asian Americans need to do a lot of work to unpack racism and understand really how that intersects with economic stuff, with immigration, with all of these different issues that we tend to look at only as in a bubble of only looking at Asian American issues, but not considering how they intersect with other racial groups' issues in America. Anyway, I'm not really sure if the point of my video came across, but I wanted to express that I'm very, very sorry for Cyrus's family. I'm really disappointed in the way that Asians continually use their proximity to whiteness and power and economic privilege against other people of color, even unknowingly. And I guess this is also just a call to my fellow Asian Americans to do some of that mental work unpacking, learn the history of Asians in America, and understand why it is not going to be beneficial to side with white supremacy. I've seen numerous Black creators on here standing up for Asian Americans facing discrimination, and that's amazing and wonderful, and I truly wish our community reciprocated the same amount.
I realized I forgot to mention also, if you are Asian and you're not comfortable operating a business in a predominantly Black neighborhood because you are afraid for your life or your business, move somewhere else. I'm from around the Baltimore area. There's very few Korean businesses left in the historic Koreatown. They all moved out to Howard County. If you don't feel comfortable, you don't need to stay there. I know, like, it's hard to pack up and move, but it's better than staying there and endangering the lives of your community.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about the whole thing. It's a tricky situation because it's like, I don't ever want to come out and be defending myself for something one Black person did. You know what I mean? Like, personally, if the shoe was on the reverse foot and a Black guy shot an Asian kid and got off, I'm not going to make no video defending him nor me, or defending myself or feeling like I have to, but I get why they feel like they do. It's because Black is the culture in America, and if you fuck with us, you better come out and get to apologizing. And most of them, or if you fuck with us and you want, and that's one thing I want to say, I feel like the people who are making this video, they truly fuck with us and they truly care about the relationship that we can have going forward in the future. Most likely it's because they love our culture and they don't want to lose it. And I think that's another big thing. We need to start taking our culture away. Like, fuck it. Fuck it. Gatekeeping. We need our own internet. Video coming on that soon, because why is nobody doing that? Why are we all stuck in these people's system? We are the internet. And while that's no here, no that. Video coming on that. I'm probably going to drop that one tomorrow or today. I'm going to try to get it out today, but if not today, tomorrow. So y'all stay tuned. Hit that subscribe button so you see that. But it's been your boy Hendo. Like, comment, subscribe, hype this video up. I appreciate y'all for coming through, and we out.